Welcome to the C-Suite Mentor, the place where you will learn the tools, strategies, and mindset to scale your business sustainably and build a lasting legacy. I'm your host, Theresa Cantley. As a fellow CEO, I understand what it takes to scale a business to 7 and multiple 8 figures. It's not necessarily what you might think. It requires a complete shift in how you think, strategize, and execute key actions in your business. My mission is to help CEOs step back into the driver's seat of their business by optimizing their operations, empowering their team, and staying in total alignment with their big vision. So, are you ready to exchange everything that hasn't worked for strategies that will? You're in the right place, so let's go. Know thyself. Know thyself. We talk about it a lot. We talk about a lot of you really need to understand what's important to you, understand what you stand for. But I think even more, you need to understand and really own your identity as a leader. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about not identity on the whole, but we're going to talk about one specific piece that makes your identity and how it ends up showing up when you're not connected to that or you don't fully understand it, and how it will impact your team then if you don't do some course correction. So thank you for joining me for another episode of the C-Suite Mentor podcast. I am your host, Theresa Cantley. And, it's funny story. I am not your normal business coach. So I typically, my favorite thing is jeans and a blazer and a blouse and sneakers, partially because I have a problem with my foot. But I also really like to keep it real. And I traded my suits and I traded my heels for entrepreneurship when I opened up my first store, and I also became a consultant. And I just feel comfortable and I feel great in my jeans and a lot of times I'll wear sneakers, fun sneakers, fancy sneakers. And I got my blazer on and I got my, dressy shirt on. So if I'm sitting, I look like I'm dressy, but then I have my jeans on and I have my boots on. And the truth is that as that relates to identity, that is me. I'm not trying to be someone else. I'm not trying to deny who I am truly at my core. And like I said, if you've heard me tell my story, I talk a lot about how when I left corporate America, I traded my suits, I traded my heels, I traded trying to fit into a box because I have curves. I traded all of that when I decided to become an entrepreneur and help entrepreneurs. And again, that relates to my identity and me showing up exactly who I am, owning the things that are my strengths, owning the things that I know I need to work on, my improvements. But again, it is really having that connection to who I am. So when we talk about identity, when we talk about it, or if we talk about leadership, let's just back up for a second. If we talk about leadership really at the core of it, it's about inspiring people. All right. I always talk about it. It is about inspiring people. It is about owning who you are and really learning how to inspire people. And the truth is that if we really examine it even deeper, it's how you lead yourself. It's how you lead yourself and how you show up absolutely every single day, which is part of that identity. And if we go into the whole neuroscience of things, our thoughts create our beliefs, and our beliefs create our identity and what we believe or who we believe we are. Okay. And then that ends up dictating our actions and those actions end up dictating our results. But what it all comes back to is our thoughts about who we are, our thoughts about what we're capable of, our thoughts about things that have happened to us in our lifetime. And all of those things like I said, there's different, I mean, I've heard people explain it that there's pillars, there's different facets to what make up your identity. And as a leader, if you don't believe that you are enough or you're good enough, that identity gets warped. And for a lot of leaders that I have worked with, that I have seen, that I have worked for, that identity, many of them that I've seen, especially when I was in corporate America, they think they need to be a certain way. They think that a leader should be a certain way. And that ends up warping their identity a bit because they're not fully connected to who they are. And it ends up resulting in 5 things that we're going to talk about, 5 things that really kind of really skew and blur that identity that someone has, who they believe they are. And again, identity, when we talk about it, it takes into account things that happened long ago. It takes into account your capability. It takes into account what you think is going to happen in the future. So there's all these, like I said, there's all these facets or pillars or whatever you want to call them that shape your identity, who you believe you are. And who you believe you are is how you end up showing up. And those thoughts around it, those thoughts, if you think I'm not capable of doing this because I grew up in a small Midwestern town, or I'm not capable of doing that because I didn't graduate from college, or if your identity is associated with, well, I see all these other leaders doing this, so I should be this, do this, own this, whatever. I see it a lot with entrepreneurs. It's that person has a Lamborghini and a jet, so therefore I should too. Truth is, we need to really believe, really own who we are and really connect to that identity that we have so that we can be a better leader. Instead of trying to be like all these other people, we need to be exactly who we are. So the one piece that I want to talk about today as it relates to identity and how we see ourselves, okay? Because how we see ourselves, how we lead ourselves is how we're going to lead other people, all right? So if we have an empty shell of our identity, then that's exactly how we're going to end up showing up with our team. So we're going to talk about one specific piece, which is our identity as it relates to our capability as a leader, as a business owner, as a person, whatever, however you want to look at it. But our identity and what we associate with what our capabilities are, okay? Whether or not we can handle situations, whether or not we can be a leader. And our capability, our identity capability, okay, we're just going to call it that, our identity capability. But our belief in what we are capable of handling comes from a variety of different things that end up skewing our perception of what we can or can't do, right? So yesterday, I had a situation with leadership at one of the businesses that I run, and we were working on an inventory project. And when I was working with one specific leader, and I've been working with him for quite some time, coaching him to be a better leader. And when we were talking about it, this whole concept of your identity as a leader specifically related to what you believe you are capable of, whether or not you can handle a situation, whether or not you can be a specific type of person, specific type of leader, whether or not you can actually be that leader. And I've been working with him for quite some time to really own who he is and really redefine that identity that he has associated with himself and the type of leader that he is in this particular organization. So the way that this shows up, when our identity is telling us, as it relates to capability, that you're not capable of doing this because you don't look right, because you don't have the right degree, because you don't have the right skill set, because you don't whatever, okay? How it shows up, there are 5 things, 5 negative behaviors, okay? Because what we believe, what we think determines our belief. All right. So, what our thought determines our belief. Our thoughts and our beliefs shape our identity. And then that ends up that's how our behaviors come out. So, if we believe that we're not capable of doing something, we end up, we have negative behaviors that end up surfacing. Okay. So I want to talk about these 5 behaviors. And this is something that I see time and time again. And when business owners and leaders come to me and they say, Theresa, I need help. My team isn't doing the things that I need them to do. I'm not having a high level of employee engagement. People seem frustrated. My organization seems like it's a bit dysfunctional. I'm not quite sure what to do. We don't have the same sales coming in, yada, yada, yada. Normally, they think that it has to do with something external. And the truth of the matter is, when we dig a bit deeper, normally, more often than not, it's something internal. And it comes down to how they see themselves, what they believe about themselves, and then how that translates to how they're leading their organization and how they're leading their team. And this specific leader, how he was showing up and leading, one of the main pillars that he is struggling with, or one of the main things with his identity, has to do with his capability. So let's talk about these 5 behaviors. The first one has to do with compensation, specifically about overcompensating. What's the word? Overcompensating. We're just going to say that. And how it ends up expressing itself is it becomes where it's all about you. I created this dish. I did this. If it wasn't for me, that wouldn't have happened. When are you going to do this for me? I made these results happen. I was responsible for this revenue. So it ends up coming out in this overcompensation for what you actually do. And it ends up undercompensating or under appreciating your team. It also comes across where people will try and handle everything. And the reason why is they try and handle everything. They try and do everything because if I do that, then I will have more value. Because their value is directly based on their capability. And if they believe that they don't have the capability, they're not able to handle a particular situation, they don't think that really they're able to be that leader, they end up overcompensating or over speaking, if that's what you want to say. They end up like over talking about themselves, because the truth is that they're self-conscious and don't necessarily want to say, I'm not really sure how to do this. So I'm just going to try and handle everything all by myself because I don't want anybody to see that I'm not really sure how to lead. I'm not really sure how to do this because I'm not really sure that I have the skills. So if we don't have that part of our identity where we believe that we're capable of achieving something, it's going to end up manifesting itself in other ways. One of them is that it's all about me. It's all about me. I worked with a leader one time where she would say, my bar. It's my bar. Even though she was a manager, she wasn't an owner. It was, oh, my bar. That's my bar. And the truth is, it's not your bar. It's everyone's bar. It's the business owner's bar. So It's that overt proclamation of this is what I did. It's that overcompensation because really at the core of it, they don't believe that they're capable of doing XYZ or making XYZ happen. So number 2 is we overcomplicate. So the complication of things. All right. And why that shows up is, well, if we look busy and we just do more things and we add more things to our plate, we don't actually have to say, I'm not really sure how to do this. So leaders will tend to overcomplicate a process or overcomplicate communication or overcomplicate a system or just like I've been in conversations where people will start talking in circles and overcomplicate a simple concept specifically so they don't have to address the fact that they truly, at the core of it, either don't know what to do, aren't really sure how to solve the problem, don't believe that they have the capability to do it because they don't feel they're qualified or they don't feel they're the right or they don't feel that they look the part or whatever it is. And it's human nature. So if you're listening to this and you're saying, oh my, this is me, there's nothing wrong with you. This is human nature. And from a very early age, we are taught to build ourselves from the outside in. Very, very rarely are we taught to build our identity and who we are from the inside out, which is why imposter syndrome is out there, why fear is out there, why people have anxiety or people, again, don't dream, don't think big because, like I said, we're taught at a very early age to build from the outside in. Well, if that person's doing this, I'm going to just do what they're doing and then I'll be able to do it. Or if I will know that I'm successful when I have $1 million in the bank, or I have a Lamborghini in the driveway, or I have a private jet, or whatever it is, because that's what that person had. Instead of building from the inside out, knowing who you are and that your value comes from who you are first, and having that simple belief that no matter what, you can figure it out. No matter what, you're not going to have all the answers and you can figure it out. So the first two, they overcompensate. So we over talk about ourselves. It's all about me. Look what I did. I delivered these results, not my team. I did. It's cringy when you hear it, right? They complicate. If we're busy, if I look busy, if we make it hard, if we make this process hard, if we put all these steps in there, it'll look great because it's going to be complicated. And if it's complicated, then it's great. Instead of just owning it and saying, I'm not really sure. And again, people overcomplicate things. They overcomplicate conversations. They overcomplicate processes because at the core of it, it's that feeling of, I'm not really sure how to do this, because more often than not, it's simplify, not complicate to make something work, right? The third thing is, and this goes along with the other two, is they don't communicate. So there is a lack of communication, good communication. They'll talk all day about themselves and what they did, but to actually communicate with their team, have the conversations, talk about what really needs to be done. Talk about, I don't have all the answers. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Using that diverse thinking, using that ability to be an empathetic leader and hear other people's perspectives. Because remember, if at your identity level, you don't believe that you have what it takes, you don't want to hear anybody else's perspective. Because if you hear someone else's perspective, that fear comes up that, oh my gosh, they're going to do it better than me. And if they do it better than me, they're not going to need me. And then I'm not going to have any value. So I'm just not going to listen to what anybody has to say. And in fact, I'm even not going to communicate. I'm going to do things, as I say, in a vacuum, in this nebulous, vacuum of nothing. I'm going to do it there. And if I protect it and I hoard knowledge, that's another thing. If I protect all the knowledge and I hoard all the knowledge and I don't teach anybody how to do anything, I don't communicate, then no one will realize that I don't really know what I'm doing. And I don't have to admit to myself that I'm kind of stuck here and I'm not sure what to do next. Or I don't think that I can actually get through this project or get through this, build this new offer out or whatever it is. So I'm just going to hoard everything. And that's the wrong thing to do. Because what that ends up leading to is it leads to the next two things, which really become destructive. The first one is that we tend to we get condescending. So we start to look at people on our team and the way that we speak to them, because if we're hoarding our knowledge, we don't want to hear their perspective and we want to hold them down so that they don't shine their light. They don't shine their skills, then they won't see that they're better than me. So I'm just going to become condescending. And we start to cut down people instead of lift them up. And we start to put people down and we start to gossip. Gossip comes out of this. Anytime there's gossip and drama, it's because people have a poor sense of self. They have a poor sense of their identity as a leader, as a person, as an employee, as a human being. Because somewhere along the line in one of these pillars, especially as it relates to what you believe you have the capacity to attain and the capacity to do, they end up, it's better in their mind, they believe that it's better to cut someone down than it is to lift them up. So condescending starts to happen. And the last one is complaining. They end up blaming this person, that external circumstance, It's never my fault. It's always someone else's fault. I don't have enough time. I'm overwhelmed. How would you like me to do this? Because I'm the only person that's capable of doing it. I'm the only person that can do this. When I hear all of those things, the thing that I see through is the excuses as to why you're not willing to do something, you don't want to do something, you don't care about something, and the excuses that cover up that belief that I'm not capable, that I can't figure it out. So again, just to review how this comes up is overcompensation. It's all about me. Overcomplication. If we make it complicated, they'll never know that we don't really know how to solve this problem. There's a lot of things, in the world, a lot of leaders in the world in very high up places that make things super complicated just to hold progress back. Think about that. I come from the laboratory world, and I saw a lot of it where leaders would purposely overcomplicate processes, overcomplicate communication just to hold progress back. That is what has hurt our society, our world, businesses. But we can change it. We can change it. Condescending, overcomplicating communication and condescending people, cutting people down versus lifting them up, and then complaining. The telltale sign that someone is going to succeed or not succeed is when I sit down and I talk to them about, how is your schedule looking? And they come back and say, I don't have enough time. I didn't do this. And I just hear excuse after excuse after excuse after excuse. And my answer to them is, you believe that you're only capable of putting out fires. You don't believe that you are capable of leading a business or leading a department or leading a team. You think that all you're capable of doing is fighting fires. And the truth is, you're capable of much, much more than that. So if you're at this point in the episode, okay, and you're thinking, oh my, because most people, believe me, I had trouble with the whole understanding the identity and how it was then transferring into how I was building, how I was leading, how I was just showing up day to day for my family, for friends, and how I was actually hiding my true self. My true self that likes sneakers and blazers and dress shirts and boots at the same time. My ideal self or my true self who wanted to be a fly girl. My true self who says, I don't have all the answers, but you know what? I can figure any freaking thing out that I want to. I can figure anything out because I'm smart and I've gotten this far in life. So I'm just going to keep going forward. I've gotten this far. I've gotten through so many problems and I'm just going to keep going. So if you are a leader and you're like, oh my gosh, I have overcomplicated. I talk about myself and I don't give my team enough credit. I have a tendency to complain and be part of the gossip train or part of the complaining train or part of the drama train that really breeds nothing positive in a business when all that stuff happens. If you're thinking to yourself, either I am one of those people or I have someone on my team that is like that. I'm going to talk about 5 things that you can do to actually start being a better leader and start really owning that you have the capabilities. You have your own unique capability. And as much as you have the ability to do things, also owning that I don't have those strengths, but I am willing to learn new things because the more I learn, the more I can teach. And people are going to do it better than you. And that's what you want. Because when we surround ourselves with good people who have strengths that we don't have, that can complement the strengths that we do have, that is how we're able to get in sync and get in flow in your business. And then everybody can rise up. So the first thing that you want to do is recognize that you're not going to have all the answers. It's just not possible. As I said to this leader that I was working with that really struggles with this, as I said to him is, you're not going to have all the answers. You're just not. It's impossible. But what you do have is the ability to look things up, the ability to be resourceful. One of the biggest things as a leader and a business owner and an entrepreneur and a CEO that you can be is resourceful, to know where to go to find the answers and also admit, I don't have all the answers, but I will find out. So number 1 is to recognize that you won't know everything. Number 2 is take time to talk to your team. Take time to talk to your team, to sit down and get their perspective on things, to say, hey, this is where we're struggling. I'm not really sure exactly how to fix all the problems, but let's co-create this together. Let's come up with some solutions together. Because when we start to do that, we start to our capability and what we believe our capacity is to handle situations, or what we believe our capacity is to find a solution to a problem, or what we believe our capacity is just solely as a leader of a multi-million-dollar business or whatever. When we are able to, number 1, recognize that we won't have all the answers, but also number 2, use diverse thinking and be resourceful to talk to your team and get their perspective on, hey, what are your ideas or thoughts about this? Number 3 is ask for help. Be resourceful, right? Get a mentor, get a coach, talk to somebody who might be a higher level leader in the organization. Look online. There is so much learning online. One of my favorite things is a website with tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of videos on different topics is Masterclass. I mean, you can go on there, you can search for a particular topic and watch a masterclass that's 5 videos, 10 videos, 3 videos on whatever it is that you're looking to learn. And the annual membership is like relatively inexpensive. I think it's, I don't know, $100 a year or something, but it is the best thing ever. So ask for help. Ask for help. Ask for help from someone who has done it before you, someone who has made the mistakes and gotten through it, got to the other side. Don't be afraid to ask for help because that's going to give you more capabilities. That's going to give you that belief that you can figure anything out. And that starts to shape your identity and your character. Character is not built, it is revealed from struggle that you have gotten through, struggle that you have had to go through and gotten to the other side. So your identity is your character. And that capability, whether or not you think that you're able to do something, that is revealed when you have to face a challenge or struggle. So ask for help. Recognize you're not going to have all the answers. Talk to your team, get other perspectives, and ask for help. And number 4, start to let go of control. We don't want to hold people down. We don't want to hold our team down. We want to lift them up. We want to encourage the strengths that they have to really come out into the organization and align their strengths, their dreams, their goals, the things that they're good at with what the business needs. Don't hold that back. Don't hoard knowledge. That is the worst thing. I worked with a business leader. She was a prominent leader in an organization, and she hoarded knowledge. She didn't teach anybody how to do anything. People thought they knew how to do some stuff, but then after she left, and she was extremely toxic, after she left, nobody knew how to do any of the processes. And it was always, well, so-and-so used to do it. Well, so-and-so is not here anymore. So we have to figure this out. And it took a lot of unearthing to try and figure out what do the new protocols need to be. So don't hoard the knowledge. You want to be able to, as I always teach people when I'm coaching them and I'm advising, you don't want to stay in the same place forever. You want to consistently grow and master new skills. We also want the people in our team to grow and master new skills. So as you're growing, you want to be teaching and guiding and mentoring the next person to take on your role so that you can grow to the next level. And if you're a business owner and you're not thinking like that, and you're thinking, I have to be the person that handles everything, and I have to be the person that dictates everything, and I have to be the person that's in control, you will only get to the level of your incompetence. You're never going to grow. Your business isn't going to grow. So connecting to that identity that specifically has to do with capability, that you're able to learn new things. Your capability is able to let go and build a great team, so to have that team handle the operations of the business and keep the business running so that you can back away a little bit from the day-to-day and continue to focus on building out the vision. The 4th thing is adopt a mentor mindset, not just a growth mindset, but a mentor mindset. And that goes along with what I just said. Really looking at people's strengths and knowing the strengths of the people on your team and aligning those strengths with what the business needs. And then saying to yourself, my capability is going to continue to grow and to evolve and to change. So I need to mentor the next person to start doing the things that I once did. It's not just about that growth mindset and that mindset of we need to be evolving. We need to master new skills. We need to do the next thing, or we need to do what we do right now really well, even better than we do it right now. It takes that and it takes it to the next level, because now it's not just about having that growth mindset, but now it's about mentoring. It's about taking that growth mindset and teaching other people how to do things, how to grow, how to master new skills, how to think independently, how to really help the business achieve that next level vision. So, number 1, recognize that you're not going to have all the answers. Number 2, talk to your team and get their perspectives on things. Number 3, ask for help, look for a coach, learn something new. Always be mastering a new skill. Number 4, let go of control. Stop trying to hoard knowledge and control the results of something, because all you're going to do is you're just going to squeeze the flame until you squeeze it right out. And number 5, adopt a mentor mindset. When you do these things, you start to have a deeper sense of self as it relates to what you are truly capable of. What are you capable of as a leader? What are you capable of about learning new skills and mastering new skills? What are you capable of in having higher levels of engagement and connection with people, higher levels of growth, higher levels of aliveness? We don't think that it's possible for us. If we don't think we're capable of doing all those things, our actions will be representative of how we truly see ourselves. So our actions will be a leader that's a dictator, a leader that doesn't really want to grow, a leader that thinks that they need to handle everything. And that's not who you want to be. If you're listening to this podcast, that's not who you want to be. So what we need to do is have a higher connection to ourselves, to really understand and know exactly who we are, to embrace the things that we need to work on, and also embrace the things that we're really, really good at, and constantly be wanting to learn and grow. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of the podcast. I look forward to seeing you on a future episode, and we have some really, really cool things coming out, which I look forward to talking to you about soon. But until then, have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now. Hey there. Thank you so much for listening. If you found value on this show, please follow the podcast so you never, ever miss an episode. And I would love, love, love if you would leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify for me. Even better, share the show with a fellow business owner ready to step fully into their CEO leadership role. Because right now, more than ever, the world really needs next level leaders. And by the way, did you know you can text me all your questions and get real-time feedback? You absolutely can. Just text the word CEO to me at 610-215-2838 to get connected. One last goodie for you before I go. If you're ready to scale your business and have a co-creator working right by your side, my C-Suite Mentor Program may be perfect for you and your possible new second in command. Just visit thecsuitementor.com to get started.